All right, guys, what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk you through how to assess your peer's paper. So the first thing you're going to do, you're going to notice in Moodle that there is assessment phase is open. This is ready to go. And essentially, you have been paired with another student, and you should see their paper on underneath here where it says assign submissions to assess. You'll see that I have no assigned submission to assess because I have this set up with essentially I have this set up as a student and I don't have anyone assigned to me. But you will see a paper here, the person's name, and what you're going to do is you're going to go ahead and click on this. It should be a Word document. And you're going to go ahead and open that Word document and you're going to read the paper. Now, you're going to have the opportunity to make an assessment on the paper. I would suggest the best thing to do is to open the paper first, take a look at it, look through it, read through it thoroughly, and then you can go through and use the rubric to actually do your physical scoring. One thing that I want you guys to really pay attention to is if there's, for example, somebody whom that you, I don't know, is your mortal enemy and you feel like would not be able to, you can't assess their paper accurately due to personal reasons, then you need to contact me immediately so that I can switch you with someone else. I tried my best to kind of pair up on relatively a step level, so the person that you might be assessing might be slightly lower or higher than your paper that you submitted. I tried to do the best that I can to get a relatively close and so that you guys can help each other out. So that, for example, maybe if you were on the little bit lower side of quality, that you can see a higher quality paper, being if you submitted a higher quality paper that you can assess somebody and help them out. If they have lower quality. Plus, the more you can review and help people with their papers, the better you tend to be as a writer. So essentially, you'll start here, get the paper. When you're ready, this is going to look a little different on your end because, again, on my end, I can't get it to look like yours. But when you get to the assessment part, when you actually physically assess the paper, you're going to see the rubric broken down. And this is the same exact rubric that you have on Moodle that's in Word form. So if you want to go through and read the paper using this paper rubric, that's fine. But when you get to Moodle, you're going to have to actually select the different numbers for scores. You're going to have all these criterion. So 1 all the way to 6, and each one of them goes from 0 to 4, from unacceptable to excellent. And you're going to take the time to go through each one of these and looking at the different criterion for each of those. Now, the first thing I want you guys to do is when you have the paper up, and I'm going to use, for example, the sleep log assignment template for this because this is the easiest thing to use. You are going, if you're not as familiar with the APA format, if you weren't sure if you use the APA format very well, use this template to help you grade the paper. Use this template to help you assess the paper. One thing that you need to do is provide enough feedback for your peer so that he or she can take that information, make a better paper, and then their final submission will be an excellent paper when it gets to me. So one thing that you'll want to do is when you have the paper up, go ahead and go to review, okay, in Microsoft Word, and go ahead and click on track changes. Now, what this is going to allow you to do is actually make changes in their actual paper, and then they will be able to see those changes in red color. And so here you can have it on all markup. That way you can see all the changes. So let's say they put title of your assignment, and it was supposed to have a title. Maybe you can put sleep deprivation in college students and say, hey, you know what? Maybe this is a good title for you. Maybe you should have put this. Let's say you don't want to do that. Let's say you don't want to write in the paper like that. And you're like, well, they should have put the title, but I don't have anything to write here. Make a comment. Go to new comment here and say, change this information to your actual title. That way the person sees, okay, I see something interesting there. Let's say here they didn't put, let's say their running head is incorrect. So your running head should look exactly like this. Capital R, running, lowercase h, head, a colon, and then type whatever shortened version of your title there. Let's say they didn't do that. Let's say they don't have a running head on their first page. Then maybe you say, well, okay, I want to put another note here. And this note is, you should have a running head on your first page, okay? Or perhaps on your title page. Boom, just like that. And so you're going to go through and you're going to give feedback to the person. Let's say they don't have an abstract. That's fine. Okay, they don't need to have an abstract. Let's say they have an abstract and they indented it. Okay, you can actually so let's say they indented it. You can backspace here and it'll show up as an edit from track changes. Let's say they went here and you read this first paragraph and you just don't feel like it really covered the scope of the paper. Maybe you want to make a comment here. Work on rewording for clarity. Okay. Maybe you're seeing here that they didn't. Let's say you go down to the references page and it's actually Reynolds and Smith. So maybe you want to say Reynolds and Smith. Okay. Then maybe you want to say this mistake is throughout our paper. Fix citation. And boom, you've got a really good, you're giving really good feedback, okay? Let's say instead of an ampersand, they put and, okay? So let's say they put and here, and you're like, no, you need to put ampersand. Then you can strike through it, and you can say, no, this is an ampersand, okay? And that's what you do when your source is within citation, within a parentheses. And the more feedback you can give, the more you can help somebody, the better. If you even can see, for example, in the APA manual, maybe you can pull it up and give them the page number. Maybe you can say, this isn't how normally we do. For example, maybe they had title, maybe they put sleep log period. Okay, let's just say that was your title. Okay, and you want to say title capitalization for subheadings. Okay, and then let's say they have a triple heading. Okay, and they didn't do that right. Let's say this was supposed to be a triple heading. Okay, the triple heading goes here. Subjective sleep quality and sleepiness measurements, period, one space. Okay, and then you delete this. You say, hey, this is how you do it. You don't do any capital spacings for subheadings, but for subheadings you do. And this should be bold. Okay, and so then you can have all of that information in the paper for them. Look at their references. A lot of people love to skip references, but this is also important. So sometimes what people do is they don't have proper titling here, and so of course it's something that you need to fix for them or point it out. There's little nuances like the T after, in this example, the T after the colon is supposed to be capitalized. Epworth can be capitalized because that's actually a proper name. Some people will copy and paste references and they'll be all in capital letters. So it might say, here it might say a new method for measuring, okay, whatever. That's not correct, okay? So you need to make sure that, you take a look at their references, make sure that these are in alphabetical order. So in this case, Busey comes before Johns. If this had been Smith up here, that would have been incorrect because Smith would go last. And so just kind of pay attention to their paper. Use the template to help guide you. Everything on here should be exactly like, this is in the perfect APA formatted paper. Everything's in Times New Roman. See up here, this header right here, this header is all in Times New Roman. The page numbers are in Times New Roman. The title page is 5 spaces from the top. This is the upper half of the page. Okay, it shouldn't be in the middle or shouldn't be at the bottom. You should have a summarized title right here in the second header. And this should look exactly like this from here on out. From the second page all the way to the 1000th page. These headers should look exactly the same. There's no running head after the first page. And so, this is something that your peers should have done because they were given the template. This, you may find that this mistake is here. And if that's the case, then you need to kind of let them know. See here, their title should match the title page, should be up there, not bold-faced, okay? We have the title up here, and it should match, okay? You shouldn't label anything introduction. You shouldn't label anything with a really, you know, vague name. Everything should be appropriate to whatever the paper is. And so take a look, make sure their citations look right. If they're listing citations, like right here, these should be in alphabetical. So notice Gupta, it comes before read. No contractions. I've, I'm, he's, I'm, there. No contractions in a formal paper. You're not only looking for formatting, but you're also looking to make sure it makes sense. They should be really integrating their sources together. And if you read a sentence and you read it out loud and you read it 3 times and you still don't know what it means, then, you know, highlight it and say, this sentence is unclear. Okay? If they have poor grammar, make sure you let them know that their grammar is poor. And, you know, for the rubric here, this does tell you, you know, for example, here, if we go down to, I think it's grammar and mechanics. If there are numerous grammatical errors or spelling and punctuation and it substantially detracts from the paper, you have a difficult time reading the paper, then that gets a 0 in grammar and mechanics. And then you can tell them on the paper in the comments that, you know, they need to really proofread their paper. And so that should definitely help. So part of this is formatting, yes, okay, but a big part of it is making sure that what is the point of their paper? What are they trying to say? And does it make sense? That's a huge part of this. Is, you know, can you talk about a topic thoroughly and clearly enough that your peer can understand what you're saying? So if you have any questions, please feel free to email me, and make sure that you use the templates, make sure that you use the rubrics, make sure that you're doing all this through Moodle. And remember that if you do not do a peer review, if somebody reviews your paper, but you do not review their paper, you will not get your peer review points. You'll get your comments and you'll get your information, but you will lose all points for peer review if you choose not to do a peer review. And that's to safeguard, to make sure everyone gets some feedback. So, you know, just to kind of let you know that that's a really important part of this. And I want to make sure that everyone gets that information for their paper. So if you have any questions, make sure you let me know. And I will do another video if you guys need it, but this should probably be the end of the peer assessment part of the paper.